It's my pleasure to welcome you all here to our session titled Empowering the Future. I'm the chair of the BC Business Council and also regional president for RBC Royal Bank here in British Columbia. And just before we get started with this afternoon's session, I would like to acknowledge that it is with great sadness that we acknowledge the peaceful passing of Virginia Green, our beloved friend and colleague, yesterday afternoon following an 18-month fight with ovarian cancer. Today's conference is largely a vision that Virginia had. She was a catalyst for having this event because she valued collaboration and lived her life as a mentor and role model for so many young people in the province, both within the business community and in the greater community as a whole. So she will certainly be missed by all of us who knew her well. One housekeeping point, if we could just mute our cell phones and PDAs, please, that would be appreciated. And on behalf of the Business Council, again, I'm delighted to welcome you to the first installment of what is the BC Business Council Stantec Innovation Series. This is the first of 3 sessions we're planning over the next 18 months, and considering that this series tackles innovation, I really can't think of a more appropriate title sponsor to have on board than Stantec. In many ways, Stantec is the epitome of innovation. From architecture and interior design to mechanical engineering and strategic management, Stantec is continually looking for ways to do things better, both for their public and private sector clients. They have been operating in BC for some 50 years and have more than 750 employees working out of 8 offices around our province. The work done by the Stantec team is known and admired both here and around the world. Now today we're going to try and take an innovative approach by making sure that BC's businesses of today will be able to continue and prosper for many future generations. It will take strong leadership that draws on the skills of today's generation. And as we're about to hear, today's young people often think differently and have different values compared to many of us who are sitting in the room. But you know, that really isn't anything new. If you think back, we all in fact had different values compared to our parents. And again, with the world changing so fast, and I know we hear that a lot in almost every way, it's inevitable that the influences affecting current and future generations will likely be quite different from each generation before. So today we'll look at how to make sure the talents and energy of today's generation result in enthusiastic and hard-working leaders who will help lead BC business into tomorrow. I'd like to start by introducing our new President and CEO of the Business Council British Columbia, Greg Davignon. Prior to joining us at the BC Business Council, Greg was President Western Canada of Canada's National Brewers, which represents brewers large and small with sales in excess of $4 billion annually. Over the past 11 years, Greg created and developed that organization from the ground up, resulting in an economic and trade association with active membership in each of the 4 western provinces as well as the north. He also serves on the boards of Alberta Liquor Industry Roundtable, Alberta Beverage Container Management Board, Moblue Corporation, Brewers Distributor Ltd., and the North Shore Winter Club. Prior to all this, Greg was Executive Director of the BC Salmon Farmers Association for 3 years, from 1995 to 98. He's also served on the board of the Canadian Breast Cancer Foundation, BC Yukon Region since 2003, and served as its chair since 2007. Ladies and gentlemen, will you please join me in welcoming our new President and CEO of the Business Council of BC, Greg Davignon.
Thanks very much, Graham, and thank you all for joining us this afternoon. This is my day 9 on the job, and it's a great and enthusiastic way to start my tenure at the Business Council. We've got the opportunity today to have just a terrific dialogue and really a focus on something that doesn't get paid a lot of attention to in business and or in the community. So today's program is really about empowering the future and making sure that businesses in BC are preparing its next set of great business and community leaders. It's all about making a smooth and progressive transition from one generation to another. and hoping above all else that along the way generations learn from one another, innovate, and productively find solutions that will grow our economy in British Columbia and indeed Canada. I know my own career, I've understood this transition and the importance of it. Today I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm, depending upon the journalist or the demographer, I'm a back end of the baby boom or the front end of Gen X. And so the consequence of that is that I'm reminded daily of how much technology, collaboration, innovation means in my life and in the business life that I conduct. At the same time, I'm a father of 2 young preteen boys, and they remind me and pull no punches when it comes to the fact that my generation and Al Gore might have invented technology, but the reality is that it's today's generation that are using it and putting it to purpose and adding value in their lives and the community around them. The consequence is that as the father of these 2 boys, I've got a stake in what happens in the future, not just for the next generation, but for a few to come. And it's about the opportunity not just to mentor and lead, but also the opportunity to learn and listen, and that's really part of the dialogue today. It's really a small world, and BC is a small town in some respects, but we are in the competitive fight of our life in the next few years. We have terrific assets in this province: geographic location, physical and natural resources. We have educated workforces and a multicultural community that's the envy of the world. But we still are going to have to be focused and work together to achieve our full potential. At the Business Council, and certainly in everyone's life in this room, that means that if we're going to succeed, we need to be visionary, we need to be innovative, and we need to be collaborative. We're a small, open economy that relies on international trade. We have to understand that fundamental fact and integrate it into the decisions and the lives that we lead. Older generations need to plan for the future by preparing those that are going to come after them, and I think today is an opportunity for some of those steps. The next generation needs to make itself ready to step up and understand what they need to do to shape the economy and the future of this province. We need to embrace creativity, build on processes to enhance creativity within companies and within our communities, and we need to encourage it so we can drive innovation and be successful. When I was growing up, there was a saying, and I'm reminded because there's a few empty seats in the front. At the Baptist church, nobody sat in the first 3 rows, so if you're inclined, you can move down. But you were told to be seen and not heard, or as a friend of mine's wife says, be interested, not interesting. Frankly, for many years, that was the case in business as well. So no more. Change is happening at such a rapid rate these days that established and emerging leaders need to rely on each other more than ever. Dialogue needs to be encouraged, healthy debate and the examination of issues and the culture around those issues needs to be explored in new ways to both assess and solve problems, and to do that in a collaborative form that has to be embedded in our approach to finding our success for BC and individual companies. Like you, I'm looking forward to hearing what people have to say today, and more importantly, I'm very proud of the Business Council's role and certainly Stantec's leadership along with RBC and BC Ferries to enable this type of a day to happen and to allow us the opportunity to examine and grow that dialogue around how we can collaborate and empower the next generation of leadership in this province. So thank you again for coming. Thank you for investing your time and efforts in the dialogue today. And thank you for working together to collaboratively grow, I think, one of the best places in Canada and certainly one of the best places in the world. So thank you again for coming. I'd now like to invite Michelle Coleman to join me. Michelle is the Senior Human Resources Business Partner at RBC Royal Bank, and Michelle is going to introduce our keynote speaker.
Well, thank you, Greg. It's my pleasure today to be able to introduce Dr. Angus Reid. You may know him as Chief Executive Officer of Vision Critical, a global digital software company that specializes in tools and services for marketing research and polling. And we've all heard of his Angus Reid poll that focuses regularly on public opinion trends. Vision Critical is one of the fastest growing technology companies in North America and the largest Canadian-owned research enterprise. Dr. Reid was born in Regina, Saskatchewan, and received his early education in Vancouver. He later earned a BA and an MA in sociology from the University of Manitoba, and in 1974 received a PhD in sociology from Carleton University in Ottawa. Dr. Reid has been the recipient of a Canadian Council Doctoral Fellowship, the National Health Research Scholar Award, the Davidson Dunton Award for Carleton University's Graduate of the Year, the Entrepreneur of the Year Award in the Services category, and the Annual Award of Distinction from the Canadian Public Affairs Association. He holds honorary doctorates from the University of Manitoba, Simon Fraser University, and Carleton University. And he was also inducted this year into the Canadian Marketing Hall of Fame. Dr. Reid regularly addresses professional and business audiences in both Canada and the United States. And his book, Shakedown: How the New Economy is Changing Our Lives, is a Canadian bestseller. Angus Reid lives in West Vancouver with his wife, Margaret, and he is here with us today. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Angus Reid.